Hello everybody out there and welcome back to the Dark Avenger comic book review. And we're going old school this week. We've been trying to catch up with ourselves since the past 2 weeks have been crazy busy. So we're giving you guys a full-fledged live show for the big two books this week. There is a change that's going to be happening on this channel. If you want to know why, updates and announcements were discussed in two places. The returning Dark Avenger Live, which we did this past Friday for Friday the 13th. We did a huge announcements and updates there. And then I kind of summarized everything also on my weekly comic book haul video. So either place you'll find out why we're doing things in this fashion and why we're going to be playing around with the review show again. Up until 2016, we're working on making the best channel for you guys when it comes to comics and all other things that we enjoy doing. So for right now, the episodes are going to be all about the big two. Maybe we'll add the indies at some point. I'm not sure. And then spotlight some books and post those on the blogger. But for right now, we want you guys to enjoy. We set up in here today because you guys are used to seeing the recap in here. And this is going to be recap-esque. We're not going to stretch out the reviews. This isn't an in-depth review. But we're going to stretch out the recap a little bit more, thus changing recap to review. So we're going to be talking about the books a little bit more. This is episode 315. That's right, episode. And Mike, the books were released for this episode on
November 11, 2015.
That's right. And by the way, you might not notice it, but we are actually recording with the webcam this time and the microphone. So while we do want to try to keep our time as low as possible, we don't have to worry about a camera going off at a certain point, so you will not be interrupted. This is a one and done video, and we're going straight through. And you guys notice Mike's behind the camera because just like with the recap, we're going to be doing the digital books first. And Mike has some preview art for all the books that we're going to be discussing. Like I said, it's going to be big two this time. We'll see as time moves forward if we're going to add indies. But for right now, let's get into some books.
Okay, starting with the Darkside War, featuring Shazam, issue number 1.
I couldn't finish this book. I was completely losing interest in this book the more I read it. Not saying the story was bad, the art was bad. I really actually liked the artwork in this book. My interest in Shazam just was not there. I wasn't feeling it. You could put it closer to the camera, by the way, Mike. You can go all the way close up. I don't mind. You don't have to show my pretty face. It's okay. But anyway, out of the 2 one-shots this week, I could not get into Shazam. I didn't even finish it because it's just Billy as Shazam with the New Gods mixed. It didn't pique my interest at all. So if you're a fan of Shazam, especially the New 52 Shazam, I would say check it out. But if you're not, this is definitely a skip for you.
Batman and Robin Eternal, issue number 6.
I love this issue. Tim is still pissed off with Dick because of what he did in the previous issue. Dick does we get a nice flashback to Batman and Robin, Dick as Robin. And, Dick tries to prove that he can be the best Robin. He deserves to be Batman's sidekick, and he kind of takes it upon himself to do something during a mission, let's put it that way, and it turns out he was wrong, and then later on he beats himself up because of it, and Bruce is worried that Dick is kind of beating himself up over it because he was wrong. So Dick is kind of the one Robin that really was hard on himself to make sure that he was the best sidekick that Batman could have. And I guess that's why Batman is harder on the other Robins. Maybe, I don't know. But maybe I'm looking too far into it. But I enjoyed it. Dick and Red Hood actually find the crypt under the church from the last issue where apparently Cassandra was held for so many years and trained. And obviously Batman found her first. There is another part of the flashback where Bruce is talking to somebody about buying a wife from a person named Mother. So this is where Mother kind of begins in the past. So this is very interesting. And now Batman and Robin are going off to, I forgot where, but now in the next issue, Dick, Harper, and Cassandra are going back there. And we get a little glimpse of Mother in this issue, and it looks really interesting. Lots of really great stuff. Batman and Robin Eternal, it just keeps getting better and better. I'm really enjoying this series for what it is.
The Darkside War, featuring Green Lantern, issue number 1.
This book I liked. Hal Jordan is on his way back to Oa because apparently after Darkseid died, parademons and a mother box have invaded Oa, and they're looking for a new god, or to make one of the Green Lanterns a new god. And gee, I wonder who it's going to be. Well, Hal Jordan makes it to Oa. Everybody is either converted or dead, and long fight happens, and then finally Hal Jordan says, "You need a bearer, I'll do it. I'll be your god." And we get a flashback of Hal when he's a kid, by the way, and he's talking to this guy in this church, and he's talking about how his dad, about his dad passing, and how God just watched and did nothing. And we find out later on in the book, here's a bit of a spoiler, that Hal traveled back in time using his god powers to be there for his younger self. And he becomes the god of light, by the way, thanks to the mother box, and he's connected to Batman, who's right now the god of knowledge or whatever, because he has the chair. But for the first time in any of these one-shots, and this is a bit of a spoiler here, Hal Jordan renounces his godhood. He asks the mother box if she can destroy herself, and she says yes. All you have to do is say it, and she does. So Hal Jordan becomes a god, and then decides not to be a god because he remembers what he said to his younger self. And he also remembers, and the ring says it best, God's watch. People or living things have the will to move, to do things. So he didn't want to just watch. He wanted to be able to have the will to help and change things, change the future, and save people. So I thought that was awesome. And now Hal Jordan's heading back to Earth, which I really like. So this is the first Justice League member who actually gained the power of a god and then relinquished it. Superman's fighting it, but Hal Jordan got rid of it, and that's what made this book really nice. I enjoyed the artwork in this book. It looked a bit classic for me, which I liked. And of course, before Hal Jordan gave up the power of the God of Light, he actually fixed Oa also. So everything's back to normal by the end of the issue. It was a very nice one-shot. Again, I don't feel like it's a big spoiler with these one-shots because honestly, they're just their own stories. I don't think most of them will have really any impact on the main story. I guess we'll have to wait and see when Justice League 46, which is being advertised in the back of every single one of these one-shots, happens.
All new, all different Avengers issue number 1.
I don't know how I'm gonna stick with this for a little bit, but it opened up with Falcon saving some people on a bridge. And then this girl offers him a Girl Scout cookies, and then there's these 3 girls, and race kind of gets in the middle because each girl's a different race, and they're like, and he only has $5 left, so he can only buy 1 box, and it's like, which is he gonna buy from? And he sees Tony Stark in the background, and he kind of narrowly avoids that. Gee, I don't know who to buy from because then I'm going to be called either a racist or something else. So that was a very uncomfortable read for even myself. I'm sitting there kind of uncomfortable because I'm like, gee, if I was in that position, I have no clue what I would do. I mean, I would try to get extra money and buy from all 3 of them, to be honest. And he actually asked Tony for money. He's like, I'm broke. And we find out that Tony actually sold the tower, Avengers Tower, to make a little extra money. But the Avengers are disbanded. You got Steve Rogers with his team. You've got the new Avengers, which Tony makes mention of. But there's no direct Avengers team, and Falcon Cap actually makes note of that. He's like, shouldn't there be a regular Avengers team? And Iron Man says, if we're needed, we'll figure it out. And now in Old Stark Tower, we get to see a villain we saw in the Nova books make his appearance on Earth now, looking to get revenge on Nova. And in the very beginning of the book, it opens up with a 1-page splash between him and Miss Marvel. There is a backup story with Nova and Miss Marvel, and we'll get to that. But that was funny. And there's somebody else who's interested in working with this person to take over Earth, so to speak. There's like these 3 relics they have to find, and then they can, basically take over the world. And Miles sees this explosion that happens in Stark Tower, and he's eavesdropping, and he gets knocked out of the building. Him, Falcon, and Iron Man go back into the building, and ironically, this new villain makes pretty quick work of the 3 of them. I guess we'll have to see where this main story goes. But the secondary story was really fun with Nova and Miss Marvel. I really enjoyed that one where they're trying to work together, but they're not getting along. And obviously, they're going to be part of this all-new, all-different Avengers team. And at the end of the story, Sam tries to lessen the weird between the two of them, and shows her his secret identity, and she doesn't take to it too well. So he kind of just puts the helmet on and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I completely lied," and he flew off. And she kind of gets mad at him for that. She's like, "Dude just lied to me, said who he was and everything. What a jerk." I thought that was really cool. You can see that there's going to be something maybe between Miss Marvel and Nova at some point. I don't know. Maybe they'll become really great friends. But it was an enjoyable read. I'll have to wait and see where the Avenger books go. Right now, no Avenger book is really, oh my god, amazing. Me. But All New, All Different Avengers definitely is higher up on my list of Avenger books right now.
The Infinity Gauntlet, issue number 5.
Dear God, it's been so long since I've read this book. I'm just glad it's over. Thanos has all the Infinity Gems except one. And his younger self from the past, or some incarnation of him, shows up and tries to warn... I guess it's from the future. Shows up and tries to warn him, we need to work together. The family's already finding the last gem, and the last gem's the reality gem. There's some stuff going on with the Guardians, fighting this gigantic bug. And these two Thanoses are fighting each other while the family actually finds the other Infinity Gem. And now it's them versus Thanos. They have the reality gem. It's a big fight. And to be honest, I'm reading this book and I'm like, it's been so long since the 4th issue, and I was not enjoying the 4th or 3rd issue, that at this point I'm reading this book, I realize, just to finish it. And long story short, the sister, the older sister, whom we knew was going to be the one in the end, she tricks Thanos. I won't say how. If you really want to read this book, you can check it out. And she gets with the reality gem, and she's able to defeat Thanos. She gets all the other gems, and I guess with all the gems, she sets everything right, because it kind of ends with her being with her mother, who was, we believe, killed in the beginning of the issue, or hurt badly in the beginning of the issue. I don't know. Again, when it comes to the miniseries for Secret Wars, there were a lot of fun books, but there were also a lot of books that were great at the beginning, and then they slowly went downhill. This series started strong, but unfortunately by issue 3, things kind of started to decline.
Illuminati, issue number 1.
How do I put this? I found this book interesting. Titania wants to turn over a new leaf, and her husband or boyfriend, Absorbing Man, is still in jail. But she wants to walk the straight and narrow until he comes out, and then they're going to go away somewhere and live happily ever after without being supervillains, without fighting the Avengers, just a good life, a good straight life. Unfortunately, because she's a supervillain, she can't get a job. And we're seeing it through her eyes, this book. She can't get a job. She can't do anything because everybody knows she's a supervillain, and she has this little band around her arm. If she uses her superpowers at all, she goes back to jail. So she can't do anything like construction or whatever, because the second she breaks a sweat, the thing goes off, and she goes back to jail. And She-Hulk shows up and wants to help her, and she's like, "Listen, Jennifer, I don't need your help. The one person I don't want help from is you." And she walks away from her. And then she goes into this store, and robbers break in, and the store owner thinks that she's the leader because she's Titania, and they try to shoot Titania. It doesn't work. She knocks them out and saves the clerk, and he's like, "You set this up. This was all your fault." And then Luke Cage and Iron Fist show up. And the guy behind the desk is like, "She did it. She's the leader." And she's like, "No, I didn't do nothing." So you can see that the world is basically... You see this book through the villain's point of view, and it's interesting because the good guys are kind of the problem. They believe the store owner before they even hear her side of the story. Like, they're saying, "Okay, we'll corroborate that you talked to She-Hulk, and we have to take you in right now. We'll figure it out." But we all know what's going to happen. It wouldn't work. So Red Hood shows up and saves her. And now Red Hood wants her to join his Illuminati. And she's like, "Listen, I want to turn over a new leaf. I want to start clean." And he's like, "If you do that, you're going to die." And Absorbing Man is not going to live with that. He's going to do it for tops a month, and then he's going to fall back to old habits, and you know it, and you need to be here. And there's a little twist at the end of the book. I won't give that twist away, but let's just say Red Hood definitely is the puppet master pulling the strings right now behind the scenes. And I don't know. I'm 50-50 with this book. I'll come back for the next issue. I want to see where this story arc, the first story arc, goes. But I'm 50-50 with Illuminati right now. I like the artwork. The story has me interested, but let's see if it keeps me interested.
The Uncanny Avengers, issue number 2.
Uncanny Avengers are fighting against this Inhuman in Boston. And Iron Man actually contacts Steve Rogers and says, look, do you guys need help? I know your team is not exactly working. And they're failing in every twist and turn. They're not, Pietro runs off and does his thing. Human Torch goes off and does his own thing because Johnny thinks he has an idea. And everything's going wrong. And Cap has faith in his team and all, but I'm losing faith in this team. And I'm losing interest in this team pretty quickly. But beside the point, things go haywire. And then all of a sudden we get thrown into the future. And we all know where this is going because X-Men are involved. We're thrown into the future. Something bad happens to Quicksilver in this book also. But we're thrown into the future. And apparently the Avengers failed. And we all know when you get thrown into the future and things went bad, Cable's involved. So now Cable is going to go back in time and figure out where the Avengers went wrong. And how to stop and how to fix the past, to fix the future. Because apparently the Uncanny Avengers did something so bad that they failed in this first mission. I'm gonna ride this first story arc out. Ryan Stegman's artwork is very stylized, but I'm enjoying it. But again, when it came to the Uncanny Avengers the first time around, I just wasn't interested in the team. There are some new factors here, and I do like that Cable kind of poked a little pun in if Deadpool's on an Avenger team, they must be desperate. But we'll see. I'm going to let this first story, like Illuminati, I'm going to let the first story arc run its course. And then from there, we'll see. There are going to be a lot of cuts in 2016. But for right now, we're going to stick with Uncanny Avengers, see where it goes.
Radioactive Spider-Gwen, issue number 2.
It's just Spider-Gwen.
Or Spider-Gwen.
Okay, we got 2 stories going on. We got Captain America. We get a little background on her with Spider-Gwen in the sewers fighting the lizards. And we've got Gwen's father talking to Ben about, Spider-Woman not being involved in Peter's death, but swearing that he will figure out who killed his son. And Ben kind of gets a little upset by the end of this issue, and he's like, listen, you do what you got to do, and whenever you hear something, you tell me, but don't baby us. We want the truth. We want to know who did it. And that's where that side ends. But Gwen is now not only fighting the lizards, but she's fighting Captain America, who believes she's behind everything, and she handcuffs her and everything. She's like, I'm not behind this. There are lizards here. We got to stop them. And she uses this little thing that there's no cure for the lizards serum in this universe. So Gwen is like, we need to put them down. I'm not involved in this. I'm trying to stop them. And Captain America kind of doesn't believe it. And there's a nice fight between the two of them before she gets handcuffed. But then the Wolf shows up and all hell breaks loose. Turns out Kirk Connors is the leader of the lizards, and it's because a little bit of what happened to Peter Parker, I believe. But long story short, in the end, Cap and her are able to stop the lizards, save the Wolf, and she kind of slips away, and Agent DeWolf wants to know why Captain America let her go, and she's like, I can tell you right now, she had no clue about what was going on here and was not connected to the lizards. She was definitely not a part of this, but this has something to do probably with your Parker case, the Parker death, but it doesn't involve Spider-Woman. I like that. I like this issue. I found it interesting. I'm going to give the next issue a try. The artwork grows on you, I guess, after the first issue. The second time around, it kind of grows because you know what to expect. I enjoyed it, so I'm going to be sticking around for the next issue.
Web Warriors, issue number 1.
You just stuck all my books together, didn't you?
Well, that's how you put it in order.
All right, well, anyway, Web Warriors. I like this book. I wasn't sure.
I read this too, by the way.
I know. Okay, then you can give your take on it too. I wasn't sure I was going to like this book. Going into this, I figured we have this week the Ultimates, which Mike read, and he'll talk about when it's his turn to talk about it. But I felt like, all right, we have universe-jumping spider people who are keeping all the multiverse or Spider-Verse safe because there are a lot of dead Peter Parkers. So they're going to a lot of Earths that don't have a Spider-Man anymore and keeping things safe, which didn't make sense in the first story arc because there was a Spider-Man in that universe, and they were kind of in that like 80s or 60s, 50s cartoon universe, and Spider-Man was there, but they fought the Sinister Six and beat them, and that was kind of the intro to the book. Then we find out that Spider-Man UK lost everything, so all he has now is this universe. That's it. Everything he's known and loved is gone. So this is all he has, his tomb, and the only people he has to care about are obviously the Web Warriors. You've got SpiderGwen and Mayday Parker in here. I don't know if I feel right about Mayday Parker's characterization right now. She kind of wants to quit the Web Warriors because she feels very responsible for her part, her universe, her world. She's like, if they really need me, I'll come, but I really think that my world needs to be protected. You know, I need to stay focused in my universe. And I think, especially knowing she's the daughter of Peter Parker, knowing what her father would want, she would want to make sure that the entire world is safe, you know, power and responsibility and whatnot. But maybe it's just for the first story arc, kind of to get them in. But they could basically travel to any world they want. And after reading SpiderGwen is in this as well, they go to this other universe to go have some tacos. And let's just say the spider people might not be the only ones with their web, and they're a group of people. Bit of a spoiler here because I want to talk about this. The Electros from every universe have formed their own group and their own web. So there is, like the Spider-Verse, there is an Electroverse, I guess, an Electro group, and their web is the same. And you can see they show a splash page with all the Electros from all the different Earths in there, and they're looking to capitalize on the worlds where Peter Parker is dead thanks to the oh God, whatever their names were, but thanks to them. And Gwen gets caught, so now she's their prisoner, and Mayday goes back to the Earth 1, and she has to now, her and the team have to find Spider-Gwen and stop these Electros, because apparently they're going to use they're using their own web to take advantage of worlds without Spider-Man. And what are they stealing? Silver. Why? Stay tuned to find out. Second story was all about Lady Spider. I enjoyed it. Her first confrontation with Black Cat, we get to see Norman Osborn in this time, or was it Harry Osborn? We got to see A. Osborn in this book, and it turns out Black Cat was this huge distraction so that something could be stolen, and it turns out it's connected to the Silver again. So, will we be seeing Lady Spider in the main series? I'm sure we will. Hopefully, this book will not remain $5. As we're getting two stories right now. Hopefully, they'll kind of combine them now that we went through the first issue. But I enjoyed this issue for what it was. I really was going into this with the lowest of expectations, but I really liked it in the end.
Am I going to give my thought of the
You
book?
can give your thought of it.
Yeah, my thought of the book was that I liked how there were more than one Spider-Man, as well as like exploring different universes, every Earth of different Spider-Men, and the story was like really interesting, and just the fact that the Electrodes are saying that there's more than just you bunch of people crawling around
in the web of
in
life.
the web of life. There's gonna be a bunch of other people that are gonna come in. That's what really piques my interest. But all in all, I really enjoyed the book though, because
very good, yeah.
You know, as a Spider-Man fan, I really enjoyed it. All right, now my book, Red Hood Arsenal.
You could go a little bit closer, Mike. Again, you're a little far.
All right, issue number 6. So in this book, we get the Joker's daughter, who goes after Jason Todd, because in the last issue, the Joker's daughter claims to have killed Arsenal.
I'm gonna put this here while you're talking now.
And there's a little bit of a fight scene that both the Joker's daughter and Jason Todd have. But then she goes to where the bounty hunters are, the ones that want to kill Jason Todd. Mm-hmm. So they offer the Joker's daughter to actually kill him in order for them to finish their mission. So, and we all know Jason Todd doesn't actually...
You can sit here while you're talking and then go back close to the thing again.
Oh, well, I thought maybe here.
Okay, if you want.
Yeah, like as I was saying, like Arsenal didn't die. Like he comes back to help Jason Todd fight off against Joker's daughter, And then with the Mafia team or whatever they were called, can't remember. Actually, I think they were bounty hunters, I think. That found out that the Joker's daughter didn't actually do her job. She just decided to actually join allies with Red Hood and Arsenal.
Nice.
At the end of the book. So they were defeated. And this actually is going to connect to Robin Wars because Jason Todd was called
Robin
on a mission, which is going to lead into the Robin Wars series. Yeah. But I don't know, seeing the Joker's daughter with them was kind of like a little bit weird. I mean, I thought Chappie Batman of Jim Gordon being with them was a little bit weird enough. But, I mean, hey, with Red Hood and Arsenal, there are some surprises that are in store. So, really enjoy the book and definitely check that out. And a former Red Hood and Arsenal team that was in Red Hood and the Outlaws, let's get into some Starfire, issue number 6. So, Starfire found out more information about Serene from what he did in the last issue of so-called pretending to kill Soul, but he really wasn't dead. He was actually alive. Mm-hmm. And what we find out is that Celestial, the one that's going after Starfire, we get a little bit of a background of her kind of figuring out, what who's actually going after her, because she really finds out afterwards that she is being attacked by after seeing the vision of what the Serene was going through, because we find out that he was a killer and that did so many things that actually led him into getting into this magical spirit, magical entity and everything. Mm-hmm. So what she does is that she fights off against the person who is going after her to collect the money for Celestial after killing her, and she just beats the holy snot out of him because, not only to keep Soul safe, because she, really has this care for him, but she just goes out and then she just says, we're not going to take this just down easily. She wants to save the world. You could actually just see her character actually doing that.
If you guys are weirded out because I'm just sitting here listening to Mike, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, I like her character like that, and I think that more of the issue is going to develop more, and she's actually...
why you can't hop seats so people can see you talking.
Yeah, but I gotta hop and hop.
So hop and hop, because it's hard to... Well, now you're doing the next book, so show the next book, then hop.
But really thought that was interesting. The last issue of Squadron Sinister, issue number 4, I feel like it's been forever since I...
It happens. With all these miniseries, it's been like
There's just been so many delays in these comic books, but I can just sum this up in a couple of sentences. Basically, Hyperion finds out that Nighthawk was between the killings of Dr. Spectrum and Warrior Woman. And Hyperion is looking for Warrior Woman, which is in turn finding out that Nighthawk did it. And as they were fighting, Nighthawk had the upper hand with using the gun as well as more of the strength to kill Hyperion. Spoiler alert, he actually kills Hyperion with a bunch of the other teams that come in. But the Iron Thors come in afterwards to actually appoint him to go see Lord Doom, who actually, because he's on trial of the murder of Iron Thor, but he actually denies it when he's going to talk with Lord Doom. So when he talks to Lord Doom, Warrior Woman actually comes back to life, or actually she didn't die really, because he really wishes he could have killed her instead of, to finish the job, where she says that he was actually the one that killed the Iron Thor, which led him to being guilty as in being banished throughout, this whole realm. So at the end, he banishes, and the whole other team that was alive just realized that he just went off. So basically, Nighthawk was between the whole killings and everything. And the other book that's coming out, the issue number 1, I'll probably look into it to see how that goes. But I just did like what you said. I just finished the whole series just to finish the book, because
of course,
it was the last
that's what happens.
issue.
Yeah.
and I thought of finishing it off for that. Okay, now we go into the Ultimates, issue number 1.
Now, I was going to originally read this book. It felt way too much like the Mighty Avengers to me. So I actually stopped halfway through and I decided to give it to Michael because Michael hasn't gotten that many number 1s yet. So I decided, you're done with your digitals after this?
Well, yeah.
Okay, fine. So I personally, let me move this back then because now we're back together. I personally couldn't get into this series. I figured it was the Avengers version of Spider-Verse.
Right. And it was just really that when I was reading this book, because I read too, that the artwork really didn't
do anything.
And the story, I kind of saw it as, I don't know. I mean, it's the first issue, so it's obviously going to be a little bit of a mix around of everything to start the starting point for further issues to come. So after reading this book, I'll think about getting issue number 2 just to see how that goes. But up to you guys if you want to see it, the comic book, because it is the all new, all different after all. So I'll see how that goes. But really, that's all I can really just give as the insights of reading the Ultimates issue number 1.
All right, physical copy time, everybody. And here we got Batman Superman issue 26. I love the Looney Tune cover. My one complaint, fingerprints. DC, please tell me you did not change your printers and you decided to go with the Marvel way. Gloves, definitely. I have to agree with a lot of you guys out there. I did talk with a lot of you during the live show. A lot of you guys were saying Batman Superman just isn't doing it for you guys. And to be honest, right now, Superman is depowered and Batman is not Bruce Wayne. There are 2 major bad factors here already. But in this book, Superman is going after Vindel Savage. There's Vindel Savage, there's the Shadow Woman, and there's another guy we don't know about yet, who I'm guessing is Horder Root.
Right.
And in each book, Superman's fighting one of them, and he's also trying to get his powers back. In this book, Superman is trying to save this group of people who are in, I forget where it is exactly. Is it the north? Here we go. Siberia, and they're digging up these nukes for Vindel Savage, and Superman and the others show up to try to help them. They don't think it's Superman at first until he kind of proves that it's him. I could use a camera now to see what I'm doing. That's really cool. And the artwork in this book is good. They try to develop, they have like a 3-step plan where the people are going to get new names and new identities. They're going to try to fight Vindel Savage, and then they're going to try to get the people to escape. Lots of stuff, lots of planning goes on. I don't want to get too much into detail about it because if you are interested in this book, you'll be reading it. If you're not, like a lot of you guys, you won't. But Superman is considering putting Vindel Savage down completely until they get attacked by shadow people. Mm-hmm. And they're fighting them, and then out of nowhere, guess who shows up? Chappie Batman. And I have to say, just like Barbara Gordon and the other people of the Bat team, he shows up and it's like, oh man, really? Because at that very same moment, as a reader, as a person who's reading this book, I felt the same way as the Bat family. Oh, he's here. You brought him in, and he's a big pain in the ass. I thought I told you to stay away from Superman, and I love how Jim. No offense to Jim Gordon's character and all, but he's not Batman, and he's trying to be Batman, and I don't know why, but it's really annoying me the way he treats the Bat family. He treats them with no respect whatsoever, and he thinks he knows everything. He's trying to take over this huge role as Batman, and he's failing at it. I think that is the biggest reason why, and I know the Bloom saga that's going on in Batman right now. I know Mike Spider-Slayer says it's something to read. It's really great. I just cannot bring myself to read it, and I'm getting every single issue. I'm up to 46 already. I'm 5 issues behind. I can't read it. I don't like Jim Gordon as Batman. I don't. I just can't do it. But now that I'm at issue 46, there's only 4 more till 50. I'll do it, but I feel like I can't read it. It's not Batman. Jim Gordon is not Batman. So the rest of the book was annoying, but we find out that Vindel Savage actually is hiding something up there in Siberia. And guess what? They find the sun. Remember that makeshift sun that was created? Yeah, they find that too.
Wow.
And apparently that's what's powering this thing. So there's another plan, and other things going on. We find out that Vindel Savage is actually working with the Shadow People. So now Superman knows he's on the right path to figuring out who's stealing his powers and how to stop them. Interesting? Maybe. Captain America White issue 4. I enjoyed this issue. Cap finds out that Red Skull is in Paris, and he wants to attack, but the group he's working with try to stop him because they don't want Paris to be destroyed, and they feel like if Cap takes this fight in the middle of Paris, that's exactly what's going to happen. Paris is going to suffer. So they go back and they try to devise a plan on how to attack the Red Skull. Artwork in this book, it's very night artwork, very dark, but I like it. And Cap's talking to the leader, and he's trying to understand why she hates him, and he's like, we'll figure this out, we'll save France. She's like, no, the French will save France. And then they find out that somebody's looking in on them, so he swings the door open and hits Bucky in the eye by accident, and he's like, James? And Bucky is, he's embarrassed because of the black eye that he got because of Cap, and B, he's like, you said my name, you said James, and now everybody's trying to figure out who Bucky is because it's not going to take long. So Bucky basically thinks that Cap's trying to slowly ease him or push him out, that he doesn't trust Bucky anymore. And he does something really rash in this issue to make Cap believe in him again. But let's just say it ends with him being in peril with the Red Skull, and the next issue is the last. And I'm really loving this book. Tim Sale's artwork is awesome. Jeff Loeb is doing an awesome story, and Cap's from Brooklyn, by the way.
I know.
I love every time he says that. It's like I feel good because we're from Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So I love Captain America White. I'm loving this series. All right, I want to make sure I don't. Okay, next after this book, you start. Just letting you know. Speaking of miniseries out of Secret Wars, Thors, issue number 4. Now, this was a great book. This had a really good ending, but from what Tim's telling me on the live show, there's a humongous contradiction in issue 7. Now, you read it, so you could tell me, because we didn't read our books yet when he was saying this, so we'll find out together. The Thors, Thor Leaf and the Unworthy Thor, or the 616 Thor as we know him, go back to Doomsgard. And that's where they confront Ruin Thor, and a humongous fight breaks out between the both of them because they don't understand why Ruin Thor was killing, why they killed Beta Ray. Him and what was the other one? The Annihilator, or the
which one?
Which one was it? Destroyer. Oh yeah, Destroyer Thor. And they're trying to understand why, and then out of nowhere, in the middle of this fight, Jane Foster, or Thor from 616, that was unaffected by Battle World, comes out and says, listen, this is all wrong. Doom is not a god. And she tries to convince all the Thors, listen to me. If you're really worthy of your hammers, this is wrong.
Yeah, the Thors are actually planning an attack on Thor Doom.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay, so then it is a little...
So it is
it
a
does
little...
fit. So
yeah.
then they're all starting to believe her as she's trying to explain this, and Thor Leaf kind of says, I'm Thor and I'm worthy, and they all plan to go attack Doom and to set things right, and that's when Ruin Thor says no, and we find out this is why Ruin Thor was doing what he did. He wanted things to stay the same, where the Thors are the police of all the realms, and they're sitting pretty in Doomsgard, period. And just as he does that, he becomes unworthy. And a brief fight breaks out, but in the end, all the Thors end up leaving to fight Doom. And the one part that I thought was the best part in this entire book was when 616 Thor looks over at the hammer, and he's like, maybe next time. So I guess it's a little seed that they're planting for the future. So eventually Thor, the real Thor, will become worthy again of the hammer at some point. If not this hammer, maybe a different one. And that's kind of a little bit of what happens at the end of this book. So then they show little bits and pieces of Thor during Secret Wars. And then, of course, Secret Wars ends and there's Earth. And then we find out that Ultimate Thor might be gone, but his hammer is not. We might see it in the 616 at some point. I don't know. This is a great miniseries. The only reason why I can't say it's like worthy of a top 5 or, higher than where it is because Secret War should have been over by now. We're already in all new, all different Marvel. It's already begun. We're already in the second month of new books. This was released late, and we still haven't even seen Ultimate End. Ultimate End was a really good book, and unfortunately, due to the delays and the setbacks, a lot of people aren't even going to bother with the last issue. I am, because I want to know how it ends, but again, Marvel kind of mismanaged this, and that's what really hurt Secret Wars.
Which is issue number 7
and
of 9,
the minis.
Which is what I'm going to review. And in this book, it's just really about, what happened in that book, the Thors planning to attack Lord Doom because they don't really see him as a god. And Lord Doom is, saying, what have I done wrong? Basically, questioning
because
himself.
Everybody from the previous universe is now sinking into all the different realms, and they're telling everybody, listen, Doom is not a god.
Yeah, all this riot that you see is going on here, if they could see the artwork, including with Sinister, who gets decapitated. I feel like this character always gets decapitated or a bad ending all the time. I don't know why, but probably that's just me. And, it's just like the Thors here, as you can see, what you saw in the other book of the Thors, attacking everyone one by one just to get to Lord Doom and just, set him straight. What are these called? The Maestros?
The Hulks. No, the Hulk. The Maestro is controlling
the World
Hulk.
Breakers.
There are contradictions then in this book, because Maestro was trapped in his miniseries.
Right, and then his character shows up, and then also.
I love this part. I did read this part of the book. For some reason, I checked out the end because it looked interesting. I skimmed through it.
Yeah, we get Namor, who talks with
Namor and T'Challa.
Yeah.
Go to Black Panther. Go to the Deadlands and actually enlist the zombies to fight against Doom.
And that's another thing that they're actually going to do. So
that's awesome.
Not only are the Thors going in, but we got a lot of other things. It's going to be a free-for-all battle, and there's only 2 issues left. I just wish they would stop delaying the books because, like you said, we're all new, all different, so we already know what's happening.
Spider-Man 2099 issue number 3. I really like this issue. You have Miguel versus Dr. Kronos throughout most of this book, and he's trying to be polite. I think he's trying to hurt Miguel politely or kill him politely, and it doesn't work. So it goes back into this huge fight. The artwork is awesome. And in the end, he kind of beats Dr. Kronos into telling him who's behind everything, and then as he's saying, well, where do I find them and who's leading them, apparently symbolically and physically somebody's pulling strings and basically cuts Dr. Kronos' strings short. And Pete's not too happy about what happened with Miguel, and there's a little twist at the end of this book that I'm not going to discuss, and there's a reason for that. And thank you all for not telling me. A lot of you, I know, were dying to tell me, but I'm glad you didn't. There's a twist at the end of this book that's definitely going to lead into future books, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm happy, but I'm also angry because I hate a certain person. If you read this book and you saw the ending, you'll know what person I hate, and I'm excited to see where this book is going to go next.
All right, Darth Vader issue number 12. One more issue until we get into Vader Down.
Next week, actually, Vader Down's one-shot comes out.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was kind of wondering, what's been going on. And it's really just Darth Vader who's trying to get more information of Bree, of the boy, of where Luke Skywalker is. Basically, Mistress Alpha, they call her. But I think her name is Bree or something. And, here's some artwork that is shown right here. And, basically it's just Darth Vader.
The reason I look like this is because the camera's
videos. And Darth Vader attacks one of the ships. I can't remember.
Y-Wing.
The Y-Wing, thank you. I try
That's
to
awesome
remember.
art there, too. Hold this a minute and I'll show the artwork.
Yeah, where Darth Vader actually attacks the Y-Wing, but as well as just trying to tell him there's just going to be no escape, and the Plasma Devils he had to annihilate. But what they're saying that even though it wasn't my mission, it was not his choice either. He just did it, by himself. And then this is where we get into Mistress Alpha, where he's telling Darth Vader that the boy is on Vorgras Vas, which is where he goes to, but Luke Skywalker is not going to be alone, because we're going to have someone else that is going to be going after Darth Vader. Doesn't like him as much either, so there's going to be a lot of people going after him.
Now, my last two books are number ones, and it's hard to pick. Well, not really. I think my number one spot definitely belongs there, but all new Wolverine issue number 1. Holy shit. This is what I've been waiting for. This is X-23, the ongoing series we've been waiting for, rolled up with Wolverine. Mm-hmm. So X-23 has officially taken over the role. She's protecting this guy at the beginning of the issue, and we get a little bit of a flashback to her days in X-Force with Wolverine. It was a really great X-23 Wolverine flashback. It's 4 pages long. But it turns out X-23 has taken over the role of Wolverine.
Now that's awesome.
And she's in Paris, ironically, and she's with Angel. And they're following this group of terrorists, and that's these people right here. And we don't know why she's so interested in these people at first, but we find out by the end of the issue, and I won't give that twist away. But she ends up chasing after this... the artwork in this book is gorgeous. I have to say, Tom Taylor is doing awesome writing. They're chasing after this jet where the terrorist jumps into. I gotta say, I love the artwork. I have to give kudos to the artist here because I love it, and I could swear I've seen this before. David Lopez and David Navarrot. I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong, but man, artwork's gorgeous. She takes out the jet, and we get a little twist at the end about who the terrorist is.
Oh.
And I'm not going to say until the next issue, but they leave, and now X-23 is on the hunt to find the rest of these terrorists to stop them. This is an excellent first issue. A little warning, though. It's a double-sized first issue, so it's a $5 book. Loved it, though. I loved it. I love the Wolverine moments. I hope we get a couple of flashbacks every now and again. But X-23, Wolverine, yes. Yes. And the people she's going up against, which we'll talk about when issue 2 comes out. I'll talk about the spoiler there. Man, oh man. I'm sure we'll talk about it on Frontline Live if you want to check that out. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, because this is going up on Wednesday afternoon. You can see it there. Maybe we'll talk more about the spoilers there.
Yeah. And my spotlight for this week has to go to Carnage issue number 1, the all-new, all-different.
Ah, you got a number Carnage. 1 too. That's right.
Right. And in this book, I'm just going to show artwork. I could just really sum up this book. It's basically Cleus Cassidy committed a mass murder and wants to go after Manuel Cauldron, who he finds out is that she's still alive. The artwork in this book is drawn magnificently. I really love the artwork that was drawn in this book. And we also get a plan that they want to use these Sonic cats to lead in Cleus Cassidy along with Manuel. And if that doesn't work, plan B will be Eddie Brock. And I was so happy to finally see Eddie Brock.
He looks good. He looks good. I don't like him as Toxin, though.
Well, we can't because Venom's on Flash Thompson in space somewhere. But anyway, they have this little bracelet around him because under government rules to control the Venom symbiote, unless things unfold with Plan B, then...
I'm glad because they fixed his character at least a tiny bit because during the Venom series, I didn't like where they were going with Brock.
Yeah, and we get a little bit of background that... of Manuel's character, that Carnage killed her mother, but not her, because basically he wanted to keep her alive for that. So they use the sonic cannons to get him, but he falls underground. And I love how Eddie Brock's saying, so time for Plan B, and the government's trying to tell him, shut up, Eddie Brock, it's not time yet, for anything else. So now they're gonna go underground to find out if Cleus Cassidy remains alive. And if the Carnage symbiote is still active. That is what really left the huge cliffhanger of saying, yes, I will be getting issue number 2. I know it's a villain book, but it was really good.
My book of the week goes to Superman American Alien, issue number 1. Max Landish, look him up, guys. He is on YouTube. He's done several videos. He is a huge Superman fanatic, by the way. Fan, not fanatic. He's really great. I enjoyed watching a lot of his videos, by the way. He did a few that really interested me, like The Death and Return of Superman, and Regarding Clark was my favorite one. But it's 7 issues, and each issue is its own story and its own point in time as Clark grows up. And if you watch, he made an intro video about this on his channel where he talks about what this miniseries is. It's not about Clark becoming Superman. It's about Clark Kent becoming Clark Kent in the future. Okay. It's really cool. So in this issue, it's all about when he's like a little kid, and it opens up with him high up in the air with Martha Kent. I did an in-depth review of this on Comic Frontline if you want an in-depth review. But basically this entire issue is him learning to control his flight ability and dealing with the fact that he feels like he's an alien. He really does. I mean, he goes to the movie theater, he gets excited, he floats up in the air, and he sees himself as basically an alien. And he gets mad and he breaks a wall. And the father doesn't even get mad at him that he floated up in the air in the middle of the movie theater. He gets angry because Clark punched a wall. And he's like, you know, only jerks punch walls and you're not a jerk. So, and I love how literally the doctor who comes to check on Clark knows about his secrets, kind of. One of the neighbors, what's his name? I forget what his name is. John. Oh, no, not John. That's John. This is insane. Ben. One of the neighbors knows that Clark has these abilities. So I'm surprised. All of Smallville knows. Well, little pieces of Smallville know about Clark's powers. And towards the end of the book, he kind of learns how to control it a little bit. He has a bit of a crash landing. And now he's freaking out about his ability to fly. He's like, we can go here, we can go there, we can go on vacation, and we don't have to pay for it. And I love how, the parents are just sitting there going, but they know that when he comes down from this high, he's going to realize he can't do that. I love the Kents in this book. This was an amazing book. I love the last page, which gives a little bit of a retrospect of the Kents. This series, I know I'm going to love it. There's just one issue I might not like a little bit, and that's the one where Jay Lee's taking over the art, because I'm not a huge fan of Jay Lee doing Superman, although maybe his issue will be done good. This is a must-read this week, guys. If you're a Superman fan, even if you're not, this was a really awesome Superman book. Even though Max Landis said don't think of this as a Superman book, think of this as a Clark Kent book, I love it. This was great. #1 book of the week. I cannot wait for the next issue. And I love how he actually outlined it. He said this issue was a heartwarming one. The next one's brutal. Each story has a theme. One issue is going to make us cry. One issue is going to make us laugh. And then the last issue is going to be an all-out fight, I believe, or something like that. But it's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to read all 6 other issues, because this #1 issue was the best. And the artwork was awesome. And with that, guys, that is it for this review episode, for episode 313. 15, I corrected myself. Links are in the description below, connected to a lot of stuff right here on Dark Avenger C86. You got Instagram, Twitter, what other things are connected here? Twitch. Not Twitch. I keep saying Twitch.
Twitter?
No. Tumblr. Even though I don't really use that. We're going to have a lot of stuff.
I haven't heard you say it in a while.
I know, right? Well, it's only our videos on there. We're working on the Blogger as we speak, so there will be some exclusive content on Blogger as soon as Blogger's up and running. And there are links below also to Comic Frontline, Zone4Podcast.com, Last Ember Press, and Frontline Gaming Zone. All places where you can find myself and Mike, and all places where I do lots of work and have lots of fun with. And we try to make sure you guys have something new each and every day as you come online to the internet. And feel free to comment below your thoughts on any of the books we talked about here. Your opinions are always loved, welcomed, and I can't wait to hear them, especially with a few of these books. I love your recommendations. If you have any recommendations for any books that we are not reading right now, feel free to let us know. Right now we're trying a little bit of all the #1s, and whatever sinks, disappears, whatever floats, sticks around. Right now there's a few books that I'm questioning if we're going to be continuing in 2016, but there are a lot of books that are actually going to make it way past 2016 unless they solve. So anyway, you go over there so you can stop the camera, and we're done. So thank you guys so much for being here with us. Take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we will see you guys really soon in the next video.
Hey everyone.